Okay, I'm ready.
Nestled deep in the woods of the Eiffel Mountains lie the sacred grounds of the Nurburgring. This is the one place where not only motor racing legends prove their worth, but also where the ultimate weapons of speed are born, bred, and perfected. The battle tonight then comes alive, albeit more mercifully, from the Grand Prix circuit of the ring. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Apex Racing TV's coverage of Round 6 of the SimRacers Asia GTE series presented by SIMMSA and the Macau-China SimRacing Association. My name is Chan Wei Hunt, and alongside myself tonight, Scott Newton behind the cameras and directing the broadcast, Marco Barbanera. Good evening. Hope you've been well this week.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Wayan. Yes, and what a fantastic place to be, the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit with a quicker chicane that it's maybe more common in sports car racing, just like what we are doing tonight. And as per usual, we are ready for our traditional quick fire double header of races, race 1 and then straight away race 2 with the finishing results of race 1 determining the starting grid. 2 25-minute races, and as you can see, the cars are already lined up for the very, very quick pace lap. So I think, Wayan, we can go straight away through the starting grid for this first race.
17 drivers strong on the grid tonight, led by Ferry Stanley with a lap time of 1 minute 48.221 blistering lap time. Good to see him up there again. His teammate locks out the front row with a 1 minute 48.589, taking second. Abhirafti Putra and Jason Ho begin from the second row, third and fourth. Niranjan Kumar and Kevin Huang start from P5 and P6. Leonardo de Oliveira and James Foster start from 7th and 8th. Ferdian Pratama and Zhang Tiantian begin from 9th and 10th. The drivers Daniel Lead, Nathan Tregarthen, Mark Lang, Muhammad Jamal Gandur, Joel Estonino, Pariwat Chukan, and Simon Sanchez round up your field of 17 strong tonight.
And as we have this beautiful aerial shot of the racetrack, the cars are rolling behind the Porsche pace car. Like I said, a very, very short pace lap. They will only do this right-hander, then the very quick chicane, and then back to the final right-hander, and we will be ready to start, of course, Wayan. That first corner, always, always tricky, especially in a situation of race start.
Absolutely. This is one circuit that you do not want to toy with, and it's going to be Ferry Stanley who will lead the field past the last corner, and it will be green flag in a moment's time. And it's green flag, away we go. Great start by Ferry Stanley, and what it looked like another Y-Lab car dropping a little bit further back down there. Abhirafti Putra in second, while Ferry Stanley pulls such a huge gap, a breakaway from the rest of the field. A field looking good so far at this point. And they make their way through the Yokohama S first corner into the Mercedes Arena Mark.
Yes, and everyone seems to be behaving nicely. Leandro de Oliveira, you see him here. We used to have him in a Ferrari in the past. Now he's driving this very, very beautifully presented BMW as he's sitting behind Kevin Huang in his traditional pink and black Porsche there. Of course, it's a Ford. And we are moving in the downhill section now after this quick right and left, left and right, down the hill to the very, very tough corner here. The biggest passing opportunity here at turn 8 or 6. I could never imagine the number. There should be an 8, I think, or maybe it's a 6. I see on the grandstands there. Looks like an 8, looks like a 6. Drivers still keeping it very, very clean, not risking too much.
As they make their way through this section of the circuit and onto this, what it might appear to be turn 10 and then turn 11. This is why I believe it's called, can't remember the corner name. But it's one corner where you have to be on your toes as you optimize your entry to this high-speed section with a right-hander kink. Now it is Ferry Stanley who still leads the field, I believe, from the front of the grid, and he will make his way around the final corner for the first or second time tonight. And now he begins lap 2 with Abhiravdi Putra and Jasreen Jali, a Y lap 1, 2, 3 to begin lap 2.
I don't want to be mistaken. I think that corner is called like the beer Warsteiner, but I might be wrong. That left and right that brings us then to the quick chicane. That is called the NGK chicane, if I'm not mistaken. As we have some too wide racing here in the Mercedes Arena, we have some drivers that Pariwachukan is already in the pits, by the way, as we have here James Foster, and seems to me like James Foster is running without numbers on his car. He has a blank number panel, as you can see there. So, I always notice the most stupid and smallest of things when I do a broadcast, and the fact that I'm not doing the cameras today amplifies this to 100% the times, because I have more time to look at these very small details. What is really important for James Foster is that he's got the two teammates, Kumar and Huang, right behind him in the two fourths, and they are looking very, very aggressive as they make their way out of the Schumacher S.
Now there's the Porsche who leads this battle pack of 4 down the Warsteiner chicane, I believe, if I pronounced that correctly, and onto this back stretch here with the high-speed right-hand kick. Now this is a perfect place for overtaking maneuvers to take place towards the latter half of this stretch, which they are on now, and they make their way now to the NGK chicane. Of course, we are using the Blancpain Endurance Series WEC layout of the circuit, which means we have the higher speed chicane, which drivers take with the third gear. James Foster in P5, Niranjan Kumar, Kevin Huang, both in Eurasia SimSports Ford GT cars, take P6 and 7, and Lopez de Oliveira in the Macau BMW M8 rounds that up. And is this going to be Niranjan Kumar along the outside of the Yoko S corner? No, it doesn't look like that. But he does make the move, or rather he protects his position into this Mercedes arena with his teammate Kevin Huang behind.
So I checked on the track map, and yes, it's the Warsteiner corner. So for once, I remember the name of a corner, which is something that is unusual of me. As we can see, this battle here is inviting Oliveira back into the fold as they go down the hill once again, going into the Dunlop curve, which is what I will call this one now, instead of trying to make out the number on the grandstand there. And yeah, Leonardo Lopez de Oliveira seems to be very close to the back of Kevin Huang as he moves all the way to the right of the track, and it's a very, very easy way on to clip the curb or the grass just a bit here at the Schumacher S, and all of a sudden you lose the balance, and more often than not you end up in the fence as Oliveira makes a little bit of a mistake there and loses contact with the two Fords, which at the same time are desperately trying to claw back and try to attack Foster and get to that P5. It seems to me like seems at moments that Kevin is faster than Niranjan, and then at times it's the opposite. Now, as they go through the Coca-Cola curve, which reminds us of the days of the past season, by the way, where we had the beautiful Coca-Cola Porsche, and I can't remember the name of the driver that was driving it, but we really, really missed that car on the grid. Thank you very much. Paul Nelson is, of course, Scott Newton tells us behind the camera. But yeah, we have a Porsche in the lead, and it's Ferry Stanley there. And he is not running away, Weian. Looks like we have a super fight for the race win today, with Putra and Jali making a very, very close three-way fight at the front, and Jolly had he lost one position. He disappointing start. He bogged down. Maybe it's always tough to start when you are in second place in a rolling start, because it's not easy, especially if you don't have triples or VR. It's very tough, Weian, to keep track of where that leader is, and you don't want to, to jump him and take a black flag. And of course, it's doubled if we're talking about a teammate, and of course, Stanley and Jolly are teammates.
Riding on board Jasri Jolly as he sits behind first and second his teammates as they make their way through this high-speed section before this NGK chicane that comes upon them. Now, not too hard on the brakes, so much so that you lose speed, but you have to drop down to either third or fourth gear and around the Coca-Cola corner, which is a little bit off camber, or rather on camber, but not enough for you to carry across that much speed. So drivers have to maintain the balance of the cars behind them. Now high speed through this section as they now go hard on the brakes. This one you have to go rather hard. Down to the Yokohama S right-hander before they enter the Mercedes arena.
Seems like Leandro Lopez de Oliveira has jumped Niranjan Kumar, so up to P7 and Kumar down to P8. And here we go on board for a second with Niranjan, and you can see that white and green BMW now squeezed between the two Porsches.
Shall we ride on the Ford GT of Niranjan as we observe this battle for, I believe, P6, currently held by Kevin Huang. We've also got James Foster, who's still holding on to P5, sitting right in front. Now they come upon this section of the circuit right before that Dunlop corner, I believe, the hairpin that's right in front, which they make their way through here. Now what's interesting about this hairpin corner is that although it is just a hairpin itself, it is in effect a kind of a double apex right-hander where your racing line is just a little bit different as you take that corner. Beautiful driving there through the Schumacher-esque corner, and now they come on the brakes and more importantly control the balance of their car as they make their way through this Warsteiner chicane.
No, I was wrong, because the Warsteiner is only the right-hander here. I just noticed the left-hander is called Michelin, so Michelin and then Warsteiner as they go down the hill to the Advan corner. I mean, it's all sponsors, so it's a bit tough to remember them, mostly because there are like 3 or 4 corners named after tires. So we have Advan, we have Michelin, and we have Dunlop, so it's very, very tough to remember them all. As Kumar goes once again on the start-finish line, you can see him going through the gears, 250 kph almost for him as he now brakes. Very, very deep. The Porsche, very, very tough car to get right, especially in the braking areas, as we have Zhang that he dropped a couple of positions. Trigarten and Estornino went past him, and now he's down to P12. Maybe he was jumped in that first corner, because now we can see Estornino and Trigarten, they are battling coming out of the Mercedes arena, as this is the fight for P10. Trigarten, I think, a new face in the championship, because he was not around in the first few rounds, so nice to have him here driving a Ferrari, whilst Estornino, as you can see, driving the number 88 BMW GTE M8.
Fantastic driving by these drivers all race long tonight. Now, of course, we have come to this point where I believe it is the 10-minute mark, nearing the midpoint of race 1. Nice Joel Estornino sits in P11 trying to gun for P10. It is what looks like the stealth SimForce entry of Nathan Tregarten, so he is in the same team as Daniel Lead, who's a couple of positions down. So Zhang Tiantian sits in P12 in the beautifully presented Itasha 4 GT, although he yes, just saying that, is this going to be Joel Estornino along the inside? Is it coming to Michelin corner? No, sorry, not Michelin, but the NGK chicane. Joel cleans off that move as he seals that off, making his way through the Coca-Cola right-hander. Joel up to P10, and he relegates Nathan Tregarten down to P11.
And that is a very, very tough corner to make a pass. One of the gripes I have with this configuration is that it removes one of the passing spots by using the quicker chicane it's much tougher to outbrake your opponent there, especially these are cars without ABS, so it would be nice to have a harder braking area, but nonetheless, Joel has been able to make the pass and make it look almost easy, as now Zhang is really closing the gap on Trigarten, who is maybe hitting a little bit of a rough patch, trying to get himself sorted once again, trying to get back into the rhythm. As you can see, the white Ford having a good run, and I think he might even fancy his chances, the iRacing China driver, using all of the slipstream. No way he was too far behind, couldn't make a move there. Now they will go into the Schumacher S, and I think that that this Ford is looking very, very quick, having a much better progression through the corners. So Trigarten really needs to sort himself out if he doesn't want to lose another position and go down to P12.
Perfect shot of this battle for P11. Sitting here from the chopper camera, of course, a virtual chopper that flies around. Apparently, flies around on top of every single car in iRacing. It's just so we don't really see it. Now they make their way around the NGK chicane again, and it does look like Zhang is able to close the gap by just a fair bit, but it extends a little bit again. Around the Coca-Cola right-hander final corner, they come as we approach the midpoint of race 1. Zhang Tiantian sits in the slipstream of Nathan Trigarten, and is he going to make the move along the inside as they approach the Yokohama S turn 1? He takes the inside line. Will he make it work? And I believe he does make it work by taking the tighter inside line through turn 1. And P11 goes to Zhang Tiantian as the cars now enter the Mercedes arena, sitting on the bumper camera again. It is going to be Nathan Trigarten who tries to make a comeback as they exit the Mercedes arena. A little bit wide, or rather quite wide, goes Zhang Tiantian, but it is going to be him fending his P11 with Nathan not too far behind. Now, a fun fact. In fact, both Zhang and Trigarten reside in the country of Australia.
I love Ford, I love Japanese culture, and I love Itasha cars, so I don't want to sound biased, but that was a very, very nice move into the first corner by the iRacing China driver as we move back to the front of the field. With Ferrin-Stalle, he has been able to create a little bit of a gap over second place, but as you can see, they are very, very close to each other. 1 second between the first two guys, then half a second back is Jaisrin Jali, as we are about to hit the 10 minutes left mark in this race, as lap 9 starts. You can see lap times are pretty much identical. A couple of tenths slower was Jali compared to Stanley and Putra, but they are still there, and it still only takes just a small mistake in order to lose or gain a position, as using the curbs there on the left and on the right now, and Stanley looks to be dialed in today. Like we said, we say often, it's not easy to drive for 25 minutes with this big pressure behind you, and this time usually see one driver at the front and another trying to put pressure, but this time today he has 2 drivers behind him, and so that doubles the pressure effectively. And once again, one thing that we always talk about for those who are new to the championship, compared to other series that we broadcast here on ApexRacingTV, where we have a 10-15 minutes break between race 1 and race 2, not here, because as soon as the last car goes past the start-finish line at the drop of the checkered flag, it's basically straight away back to the gridding procedure and off for race 2. So you really need to be 100% focused on your game throughout the 2 25-minute races that we are on board, with Jaisrin Jali, number 81 from Malaysia, up on those curbs using the Molyneux. On the right side of your screen you can see the gap between second and third as they go past the start-finish line once again. You can see the gap is hovering around 0.7 of a second, growing bigger and bigger, just slightly, but growing bigger and bigger with each passing lap.
Fantastic driving by the White Lab boys all night long, because they lead the rest of the field here at the Nurburgring. Now, if we may just head back to a couple of other cars who are also in the competition. Lopez de Oliveira currently sitting in P7, and it is Kevin Huang in front of him. So last season we did see Leonardo Lopez take a drive in, I believe, another car. What could have been a Ferrari 488, but he's made the switch to the BMW M8. Of course, this Macau driver, Macau outfit. Of course, driving well tonight, and let's hope he's able to do well again this season.
Yes, that
Coming upon,
Ferrari. Sorry to interrupt you. That Ferrari was beautiful, but I have to say, the Macau SimRacing livery fits perfectly on this BMW. It's absolutely fantastic, and I like the orange mirrors with the orange wheels. It really gives, and also the orange rear wing. By the way, it really paints a very nice car indeed.
Now as the cars now approach this high-speed section once again, although the gap between De Oliveira and Kevin sit at 0.6 of a second, still a little bit of a slipstream effect nonetheless as they make their way through the NGK chicane, and a little bit of a shoot here before the Coca-Cola right-hander. Kevin Huang currently sits in P6, and I believe it will take a little bit of time before Oliveira is able to close this gap. As they go high speed, approaching the Yokohama S first corner, it is going to be hard on the brakes, down all the way to the first gear. Of course, not taking the left-hander here, using the full Mercedes arena over here at this section. Now this is what would usually be a overtaking section. Of course, it makes it easy to overtake at this part of the circuit, but with the rather sparse concentration of cars at the moment, it is a little bit difficult to make passing moves at this point.
Just noticing the orange driver suit as well for Leonardo, so really, making his best effort to look cool out there, and not only that, he is also very quick. Also, complete off topic, but I wouldn't consider myself a vexillologist, but I have to say that the Macau flag is absolutely fantastic. It really stands out, and I love that shade of green of the Macau flag. So, but sorry for the off topic. It seems like with this series, the side of me that likes the colors and nice paint schemes and design in general comes out, and why wouldn't? Because, like we say many times over, the liveries in this championship are absolutely fantastic. As Oliveira goes down the hill, and holding on in that 5th place still is Foster there, so he's been able to fend off all his rivals, who now, for the past couple of laps, haven't really been able to close the gap on him, as he goes once again through the right-hander, starting his 12th lap of the race, 20 minutes on the clock, and we have drivers are lapping around the 150s, 149s, so we can expect a couple of laps left, maybe 3, but once again, my maths are usually terrible, so don't quote me on that, as you can see the gap between P5 and P6 shrinked a bit a couple of laps ago, and then growing again, and then now shrinking a bit once again. Last time around on the start-finish line, 1.1 seconds between Foster and Wang.
Great driving by James Foster, likewise holding on to P5, as you've just mentioned that. Of course, the next driver for James to pick on, or rather to pick off, will be Jason Ho, who sits 3 seconds, a full 3 seconds ahead of him. Of course, last week at Spa, both drivers had a certain kind of incursion that happened between the both of them through a part of the Spa circuit. I think they've shaken their hands and they now come to race again here at the Nurburgring. Jason sits in P4, and with 5 minutes, or rather slightly less than 5 minutes to go to the end of race 1, Jason will try his best to hold on to his position.
The Pioneer Ferrari there, as we jump, rightfully enough, to the front of the field because Jolly has closed the gap a bit on Putra. I think a little bit of a mistake from Abhirafti Putra towards the end of the previous lap, and this gave the opportunity to Jolly to close down to 0.5 of a second now, increasing once again. Of course, these three being teammates, like you were pointing out earlier, Weian, makes it a little less probable that they will try anything crazy because you don't want to waste away a podium lockout. And whilst Ferry Stanley seems to be good money for good value for it, is in the lead by a couple of seconds, so he's quite sure to get the race win at this point. There could be some arguing over second and third place, but I think I would be surprised if they would do Putra and Jolly anything crazy because of course, like I said, you don't want to hit each other, especially when you're teammates. Even though Jolly has been able to hold his own with Putra, he lost that second place at the very first corner at the start of the race, more than the first corner, and Putra hasn't looked back since, looking like he will keep that second position. And also a front row starting position for race 2, which also means, let's see if the roles are then reversed, because now Putra would be on the first row, so Jali, by all usually that this means that the driver in third place is a little bit more advantaged by the fact that he can see straight in front of him when the leader goes. And once again, if you don't have triple, so you don't have VR, for the driver in second place in a rolling start, and being a novel driver, I know this pain a lot. You basically risk to be jumped by the guy in third place.
With not much time left to the end of the race, to the end of race 1 more specifically. Stellar driving by Ferris Stanley so far. Now look, Ferris has won less races than Jolie, but we all know that SimRacing Asia rewards consistency above anything else, race wins included. So all you have to do is to finish consistently and not get yourself tangled in trouble, and you will have the points advantage as you progress throughout the season. If this is going to be the white flag lap or this or the next one, it will be a great job done so far. Sorry.
We are already into the final lap, if my calculations are correct. So not a lot of corners left for our race leader, Ferry Stanley, as he is speeding his way through the last 3 or 4 corners of his 14th lap. And it seems like he will be able to bring home the race win. And like it would be a fantastic podium lockout for the Y lap guys.
Now as Ferry Stanley makes his way through the NGK chicane for the final time of race 1, it is going to be, or rather just a while more as he makes his way through the Coca-Cola corner, the final corner of this circuit. Y-Lab Motorsport takes SimRacing Asia by storm here at the Nurburgring as Ferry Stanley wins at the Nurburgring. What would likely be a hat-trick finish, having qualified first and made the fastest lap. Now Kevin Huang in P6. Of course, he's not made the move in time to go up to P5, which is currently held by James Foster. Leonardo Lopez de Oliveira comfortably sits in P7 and he finishes as such. Niranjan Kumar will come home in P8 from a distance, and it looks like Zhang Tiantian has managed to fend off Nathan Tregarten, and it is going to be the final drive for them as they make their way through this section of the circuit. Zhang Tiantian leads Nathan Tregarten to come home in P11 as he makes his way across the start-finish line at this point, and Nathan comes home in P12, perhaps 1.3 seconds behind him. Daniel Leet Of course, Nathan's teammate comes home in P13, and it's going to be the Don, the Godfather, Mark Lang in P14, but that will be quite a distance behind.
If it wasn't for very expensive rights, we could cue the Godfather main theme right now, but we can't. So pretend it's sounding in your ears right now. As you can see, we are already getting ready for the second race. The cars are starting to grid, and in a second you will get the starting grid on your screen, and that will also double for the official results of race 1, and Wei-An will take you through them.
Now, it does seem like Jamal Gandour has reconnected to this session. Good on him. Race 2, presented by the Macau-China SimRacing Association. Ferry Stanley won race 1, and he will begin from pole position here at race 2. Abhirafti Putra locks out the front row, and Jaswin Jali leads row 2 in P3. Jason Ho, good to see him up there. He begins from P4, and James Foster begins from P5. Kevin Huang from P6, Leonardo Lopez de Oliveira 7th, Niranjan Kumar from 8th, Ferdian Pratama and Joel Estornino round up your top 10 race starters for race 2. Zhang Tiantian begins from P11, Nathan Tregarten from 12th, Daniel Lead from 13th, Mark Lang from 14th, Parwat Shukan, who doesn't seem to be on the grid at this point, perhaps, begins from 15th, and Jamal Gandour, good to see he reconnected here, he begins from 16th, and Simon Sanchez will begin from 17th. That depends on if or not he connects to the grid. Marco, I'm going to let you call the start here, Mike.
Thank you very much, man. We are ready to go as the cars are taking, the pace car takes the hard right, and then it will be time to go for race 2. Cars are all lined up. Jali and Putra following closely the moves of the race leader as we are racing, and this time seems like the guy in second place has been able to hold on his position as they go hard braking into the first corner, almost coming to a stop. He is the Porsche there of Foster is dropped down to 6th place. Kevin Wang already up to 5th. Stanley Putrajali. Oh, and now we have Kumar also trying to get there on the inside of Pratama, and he is able to do so, whilst also Estornino, teammate of I will remember the name of the driver, of course, of Leonardo Lopez de Oliveira, who sadly hasn't started the race, so he is out before we even started. And here we go. So looks like Jason Ho has been able to hold on the 4th place, and you can see the pack already as Estornino is off there in the background. He cut the inside of the hairpin there, and I think he will also have to serve a slowdown for that reason.
It did look like a good skirmish to begin race 2 here at the Nurburgring. Cameras are on Joel Estornino as he sits in P13. I think he might have lost 3 spots from the race start. Of course, the race began with not too much drama. Of course, great tight racing, even a 3-wide attack into turn 1 and the Mercedes arena. But now the cars make their way into the NGK chicane. And it is going to likely be is there going to be
Oh! That is Kumar facing the wrong way, and I have no idea how this didn't end up in a massive pileup, because he spun in front of a very, very big pack of cars. Let's get a replay and see what happened.
They go too wide into the NGK chicane. Niranja has the lead, but he trips over the curb and around. He goes right there, and it was just fortunate that the other, rather Ferdian of YLab managed to avoid that and keep his car unscathed.
Foster is dropping some positions down to P13, and he is out. He towed back to the pit, so I would imagine that he crashed somewhere. I think Ferjan Pratama just gave a little bit of a bump on Niranjan's Ford, but it could have been a lot worse, and he lives to tell the tale. As back at the front, Abhiputra, looking like he could really put up a fight with his teammate there at the front of the pack.
First, Andy leads the field of race 2 here at the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit. But the gap between himself and Abhiputra is dangerously close for Ferris to hold the definitive advantage. I do apologize, my tongue has been tied this whole week. Abhiputra in second, Justin Jolly in P3, and Jason Ho, good to see him all the way up there in P4. Oh, I have to just say that he's gone a little bit too wide through at the exit of NGK chicane, but he returns and rejoins the circuit through that. Was that just Jamal Gandu making the move, and around he goes again. Same mistake he made as Niranjan earlier on, and around he went into the grass, and it is Joel who holds on to P8 with Zhang Tiantian moving up to P9 and Niranjan Kumar in P10.
Another lap goes in the books. We are in lap 3 right now. You can see Joel Estornino with Kumar between himself and Zhang Tiantian, as now the two Fords are battling. Ferdian Pratama seems to be okay after that scary moment a bit earlier, as they go through this section once again. Also, Niranjan Kumar has been able to already make up several positions, as they are following each other very closely, but I would imagine moves will be due around the corner, because we have some quick drivers that have been, are a little bit out of place because of some early race issues. And so let's see if especially Kumar can get back to maybe, well, let's say that we have a very nice run so far for Trigarten and Leet, two drivers that were in the back of the field in race 1. They are 6th and 7th, so good for them, as all of these drivers are using a little bit of the runoff area there, but it's perfectly fine. No worries there, just an off track, but in a 25-minute race, you can absolutely get away with it.
Now we do have to note that the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit is not known for being wide, but in fact it is quite narrow, which means that the drivers have to use lines that are more compact in order to make their way through the racetrack without going too far off track. Nathan Tregarthen with Joel Estornino mounting pressure up on his rear end. Sorry, I'm not sure if that's Nathan Tregarthen. Oh yes, that is, because I do see Daniel Lead in the same team, the Porsche, up in P6. Joel Estornino around the inside, which now becomes the outside. Now the inside again through the Mercedes arena. Is he going to approach the right-hand side of Nathan Tregarthen for the battle for P7? Unfortunately, it does seem like Nathan has had the line advantage through that section, and they now come to this part of the circuit. Joel currently sits in P8, and he is gunning for P7, currently held by Tregarthen, as they now come to the braking zone for this corner, the Dunlop corner. It's going to be super close. Yeah, nearly coming to contact there. Look, rubbing is racing, my friend, but they know well enough not to come into contact. Now mounting the curbs goes Nathan Tregarthen through the Schumacher-esque corner, and they are going to come braking up onto Michelin corner and Warsteiner corner. In front, around goes Niranjan Kumar for the second time this race. That looked like quite a massive off that Kumar had back.
Tregarthen seems to be able to weather the storm from Estornino right now. You see the Ferrari a little bit slower in some parts of the track, but the BMW, while able to close the gap, is still not good enough, not close enough to make the move. This might be the right moment that Estornino was waiting for, using all of the draft. You can see the gap not closing at all. Draft not very strong here. He needs to go and make a dive bomb, but he is a little bit shy there, and I think that was the right decision, because he really would have had to go for a big move, which sadly for him wasn't possible there. But and this goes to show once again about how tough it is to pass around this racetrack, as back at the front the situation is getting very tasty, with the three leaders making I would say that they are absolutely making for some nice screenshot material for their team, and making their sponsors very happy, because they are on course to get a podium lockout as well. Will they race a bit more against each other, given that they already had 1, 2, 3 in the first race? And let's see, because they seem also to be much more closer than what they were in race one. So and also I like the fact that they are driving information with two Porsches, first and third, and the BMW there in the middle.
They
Oh,
do seem
Estornino with issues, and also I think Lit having some issues. As you can see, that is Lit on the right side of the track. Estornino, I think, went off in the other direction. Let's see, Lit is in the Porsche, Estornino in the BMW. The Porsche goes around, and nothing he could have done there. The two cars make contact. That is very unfortunate, Weian, because they were having a very nice race too, these two guys.
absolutely well. Incidents like these, well, do happen from time to time, and it is very difficult because once you have incidents like this unfolding right in front of your eyes, it's not always that you're able to respond well in time. Zhang Tiantian currently sitting in P7, 4 positions up from where he began. I believe from P11 earlier on, with Ferdian Pratama mounting some pressure on this Itasha Ford GT. Now a little bit wide, of course, through this corner. It is good to go wide if incident points are not of your concern, because it does optimize your exit speed. Now through this chicane, I'm not sure about the name, not sure of the name here. Taking the exit curb well there, does Zhang and Pratama as they make their way up to the Dunlop corner. A theoretical, rather practical, rather taken to be a double apex right-hander over there. They now make their way through the Michael Schumacher S, and it is going to be Ferdian who still sits in P8. But is this going to change as he now comes along the inside through a Michelin corner? Round he goes!
He locks the brakes and he's around.
Well, I
Well,
think overcooked the brakes a little bit as he attempted that corner, but now this leaves his Zhang with next to no pressure as he sits in P7.
yeah, guy that is under pressure is Ferry Stanley. Of course, once again, all three of these are teammates. But at this point, I would imagine that the gloves will be off. They have around 4 seconds over Jason Ho in 4th place, and Kevin Wang is in 5th. He is even further away. And so I am expecting the three of them to really fight. Of course, it's one thing to say they will fight, but also we have to consider that when there is such little difference between the drivers, and in a track like this, it's very difficult to find that extra bit of speed needed to make a move. And of course, when you are thinking about making a move, it is also you have to think about that if you do a risky move on your teammate, it's a big risk of ruining both of you and your teammates' race. So more factors come into play. That being said, it's like maybe Abiputra will wait a bit more, as we have Niranjan Kumar here following behind our good friend Jamal Khandur, as they are side by side. Good exit there from Niranjan, despite his spin and a bit of damage. But the Ferrari is a bit stronger coming out of the corner. So for the moment, for the time being, Jamal is able to keep the position on Niranjan, two of the veterans of this series, and the situation stays the same. Let's see if maybe Niranjan can get a good run through this left and right, and maybe go for a move at the chicane, or more probably into the first corner.
Right before our eyes, a GT Academy finalist and one of the fastest, I believe, R-Factor McLaren Shadow Project drivers, of course, Jamal Gandur and Niranjan Kumar, respectively. Now, these two drivers are, or rather, they do have a lot of pedigree under their belts. And they have come on board iRacing, because this being a platform that they enjoy racing on. It is going to be Jamal Gandu who sits ahead of Niranjan Kumar, but now they approach this braking zone for the Yokohama as right-hander. As they make their way into the Mercedes Arena prime overtaking zone here at the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit. Is it going to be Niranjan along the inside through that corner? Of course, it did look like from that perspective. And there you go. Niranjan up to P9 and Jamal Gandur relegated down to P10. Of course, over at that section of the circuit, the choice of line is more important than the power that you're able to put down. But is this going to be a comeback from Jamal Gandu as they approach this part of the circuit? It might not seem so, because the gap between them now sits at just under 0.5 of a second as they make their way through the Dunlop.
So, cameras now on Kevin Wang. As you can see, the cloud cover coming a bit in play right now, as also Kevin is closing the gap on Jason Ho in front of him under 1 second, the gap right now. I also absolutely love the variety in manufacturers that we are having today, because we have Porsche in first, then BMW, then Porsche once again, then Ferrari, then Kevin driving, of course, the Ford. So lots and lots of cars represented in the first 5 positions. Matter of fact, all of them are represented, all the GTE cars in iRacing. Speaking of which, we are about to get a very nice special event organized by iRacing and BMW, a 2-hour race with driver swaps in Le Mans, officially supported by BMW. And there will be, I think, some cool prizes also associated, linked with this particular event, which is also, I think, done as a warm-up to the proper 24-hour race that will be scheduled for June on iRacing. As seems like Kevin is really closing in on Jason, and I love the way he's making his Ford flow through the corners, and you can all see on the right side of your screen in the real-time gap, but also visually how the distance between the two drivers is closing.
Sure, the gap between them sit at right now 0.5 of a second because they approach the braking zone, but it should close off as they return to the main straight here across the start-finish line for I have no idea how many times this race. It's going to be Jason who still leads Kevin Huang as they begin this new lap. Hard on the brakes into the Yokohama as Kevin not close enough to make the move to commit down the inside, but now they come to yet again the prime overtaking spot. I do apologize there, where Jason currently holds P4, but you see the gap between them has already extended, and it doesn't look like Kevin is close enough to make any moves. If we may look a little bit further back, I think it does look like a battle maybe unfolding again between, yes, thank you, Scott, between Ferdia Pratama and Zhang Tiantian, who take P8 and 7th, respectively. So now they come to the Mercedes Arena once again. Of course, not having been able to make any moves right along there, they come back onto this part of the circuit, down into this. Of course, along this corner, you have to be on your toes to ensure that the balance of your car remains fair, in order not to overcook the tires or go around. Now, great use of the exit curbs does both of the drivers, as Zhang now leads Pratama down into the Dunlop corner.
Yes, as we are about to hit. We just hit, by the way, the 7-minute mark, or to be precise, 7 minutes away from the 25-minute mark. So these drivers have just a few chances, a few laps left if they want to make a move. And seems like Ferdinand has been able to close the gap on the Ford, but still missing that extra bit of speed. But these two are very, very close. Look at the way Ferdinand has had a better run down the hill and now through the chicane, which is really important to get right. If you want to then go for a move, maybe he should have waited a bit because he almost dived there on the inside of the Coca-Cola curve, and this may have compromised his exit speed for just a second. As now the Wylab Ferrari on the inside, he has to brake a lot, and that usually means that the car on the outside has a bit of a better exit, and that is exactly what happened. So Zhang keeps the position for now, side by side once again, coming out of the arena, still the Ford in front, and I think now Ferdinand will have to wait maybe for the hairpin if he wants to get another crack at P7, as Zhang has a very, very bad run through the left and right there. So this might be the chance for the Ferrari.
Is this going to be a move by Pratama down the inside? Does look so, and he has the inside line through the Dunlop corner, and now they go side by side through this extremely narrow section of the lead up to Schumacher, as where you cannot go full throttle. Zhang Tiantian up to P7, I believe he still holds on to P7, but it is now trying to look along the outside. Now, unfortunately, that does not work. Zhang leading Pratama into what was Michelin corner, and now past Warsteiner. Side by side, they go through this high-speed section now. No holds barred here as they approach the right-hand king. Ferdinand Pratama up to P7, and it is going to be Zhang Tiantian who's dropped to P8. And now is there going to be a comeback move from Zhang? We'll just have to see for ourselves as they approach the final minutes of the race. Niranjan Kumar not too far behind in the background there at P9, as it does look like Zhang has made a little bit of a cornering mistake through the Coca-Cola right-hander. And
I mean, that was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful move. And now Kumar might also pick up the pieces as well, because these two have battled for quite a few laps and slowed themselves down. And Niranjan Kumar, like we said earlier, a bit out of position because of his because of the problems he had, that spin in the very beginning of the race, a little bit of contact there also with Ferjan Pratama. Both cars seem to be okay, because Pratama in seventh and Kumar is really making his way back through the field at the same time as we switch to the front of the field, because Jason Ho is under big pressure from Kevin Huang, as this is the battle for P4 with a little bit more than 3 minutes left. So seems like Jason will have his hands full in these final few minutes of the race. And let's see what happens, because as Stanley gets the fastest lap of the race, taking it away from Putra, his teammate, and pulling away 1.4 seconds in the lead. Let's see who gets the fourth spot, because these two seem to be very, very equal in pace.
gap between them sits at between 4 and 6 tenths of a second. Of course, both these drivers are extremely competitive at this part of the field. Jason in P4 and Kevin Huang in P5, so they don't have much time for them to make for Kevin, or rather Kevin does not have much time left, so it is going to be now or never if he wants to claim P4 from Jason. Ferry Stanley still leading the race, and he sits at a full, or rather beyond 1 second ahead, beyond a whole second ahead of his teammate Abhirafti Putra in P2. Jali in P3 at the moment, 8/10 of a second, but just look at how unbeatable Ferry Stanley has been, because in the absence of Joe Lee or Louis Gallen, Ferris, the next fastest driver, is pretty much dominating the race here tonight. I've just received some news from Daniel Lead a couple of minutes ago that he's had experienced a hardware failure on his end, which led to him retiring from the race tonight. I think it was his wheelbase that had overheated. Definitely something you do not want to experience. It is quite nasty, and that leaves his teammates Nathan Tregarthen and I think it's just Nathan Tregarthen around in the participation here tonight.
White flag is in the air for the race leader as the final lap of the race begins right now. Seems like another YLab hat-trick on the podium. Seems like we will have the same finishing results of race 1 with Stanley, Putra and Jali coming to the start-finish line in this order. They have absolutely dominated this round, and of course the biggest props go to Ferry Stanley, because he would bring home a nice sweep of the proceedings today if he's able to wheel his car home from first position and with just a couple of laps left. Sorry, with just one lap left. Sorry, I want to say a couple of corners left, even though it's a bit more than a couple. So, using all of the racetrack here and then speeding through the Schumacher S hard on the curves with the Porsche, you can afford to do that. And now into the Warsteiner corner, which also brings us to the right-hander, which I already forgot the name of. Advan, maybe, as they go down the hill for the final time today. And what a performance, Weian, it has been for YLab.
Is it going to be a repeat of the Grand Slam by Ferry Stanley, which he's just pulled off earlier in race 1? Very likely. So a little bit of mistake along the exit of that corner, and maybe a little bit of a white line through the Coca-Cola corner here. Ferry Stanley leading YLab Motorsports domination here at round 7 Nurburgring SimRacing Asia GTE series. Ferris takes the race win, and Abhirafti Putra Jaswin Jali ends a YLab Yellow Lab Motorsport domination of the podium across both races. Fantastic driving by the boys at YLab Motorsports so far, and it is going to be, I believe, Jason Ho who leads Kevin Huang through P4 and P5. Cameras on Zhang Tiantian over here, because it is he has done a stellar job tonight of racing. Of course, it is Ferdia Pratama who's made the move ahead of Zhang, but he is going to, or rather, he still holds on to P8 as he makes his way through the final corners. Nathan Tregarthen finishing in P6 and Ferdia Pratama in P7. The Itasha car comes home in P8, and that will leave drivers Joel Estornino and Jamal Gandour somewhere in the background. I think maybe over at the Kingdom of Gondor, who will round off the top 10 of the grid. Estornino finishing in P9, and Kingdom has come as the Lord of Gondor. Jamal Gandour will come across the Coca-Cola corner for the final time tonight to round off the top 10 of the race here.
You know, as you guys might know, or probably you don't know, but I've started my brilliant, hopefully, career as a marshal, and I've learned Sunday that basically among the marshals we have a nickname for the race control tower, which can be seen from all around the track, and that's where we get our, we have constant contact with the race director. And yes, we call the race control tower Mordor. So I couldn't stop laughing, especially because on Sunday we have a massive thunderstorm and there were like dark clouds just above race control. And one of my mates there, one of my colleagues said, look, it really looks like Mordor today. And
I could imagine. Yeah, look, the fact that iRacing now has, a weather model that just fits this possible description. I think I can't remember, we can't see which driver was it that made a donut move there. This has been round 6 of the SimRacers Asia GTE Series 2019 presented by SIMSA and the Macau-China SimRacing Association. We've just done the checkered flag and we'll just wait for a little while more to identify if there are drivers who will come on board for post-race interviews here on Discord.
And before the interviews, of course, here we go with the race results from this second race of the SimRacers Asia GT Series, brought to you by SIMSA and the Macau-China SimRacing Association. We, of course, have seen it during the race. What a stellar performance. Wilab Motorsport with a podium lockout for the second straight race today. Frey Stanley Abiputra and Jazrin Jali. Behind them was Jason Ho and then Kevin Wang, 6th place for Nathan Trigarten, 7th place for Ferjan Pratama in 8th. Zhang Tiantian in P9, Joel Estornino in 10th, Jamal Kandur, then Mark Lang and Niranjan Kumar, Daniel Litt forced to retire, and same goes for James Foster, Leonardo de Oliveira, whilst Pariwachukan and Simon Sanchez didn't take the start of the second race, and that was a shame, especially for Simon because he had a very, very nice run in race 1. And as we get ready for interviews, of course, a reminder that next week we will be in Indianapolis on the road course, the third to last race of the fourth to last race of the season, because then we go to Mount Panorama, Le Mans, and we round up the proceedings, as you can see on the screen right now, in Road America. And I don't know about you, Wayan, but that Mount Panorama round will be absolutely crazy. I don't want to miss it, but I don't want to miss any of this beautiful, beautiful championship. Let's see if we have someone ready for us. And yes, we do. I think we can start, Wayan. You can take it away. Ferjan Pratama is with us, ready for an interview.
Selamat datang, my friend Ferdian. Welcome again to the Apex Racing TV's commentary booth, comms channel. I mean, yeah. I hope you've been having a good evening, here over in Indonesia. Of course, just like to congratulate yourself on the race results. You came home in P7. It does look like here on the result sheet, P7 here tonight. And I do understand you had a fantastic battle with what appeared to be fantastic battle with Zhang Tiantian throughout both races. Now, could you please share with us the race from your perspective?
Okay, for the first race, first, because it's really, what is a very difficult track in this particular track. So I decided to not go all out because I don't wanna get an accident at first race, and I finished really good. I think I finished at ninth place. And the second race, I want to say I'm sorry to Niranjan Kumar. I think I think on the battle on the last chicane, he is like spun out, but I hit him a little bit, so I'm really sorry to Niranjan. And uh, on the middle of the second race, it's really crazy battle between me and Chang because I locked my brakes so much and I try to make my driving as safe as possible until I make a chance to chase him again and try to find a way to pass him. And luckily, I find a way to pass him. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's great to hear. Did sound like you've had quite a night of racing, but of course, I think the drivers, Niranjan especially, I think they will be forgiving, and I'm sure they'll be I mean, they'll look over it, and with the drivers here are all nice people. So incidents happen here and there, throughout racing, but it is one where we look at it and we just move on from there, learn from our mistakes. That's been one of the learning points. Now, can I just hand you over to Marco, if he's got any questions he'd like to ask.
Yes, next week we are in Indianapolis, the road course. A very, very tough road course, very flat, not many great passing spots apart from the first corner, because of course, thanks to the oval section there, you guys can have a very, very good run, and I think this will help a lot, because we've seen today it wasn't very easy to pass around this track, and especially we have come, maybe it is getting more and more like a recurring theme that these GTE cars really don't have much draft. But I wanted to ask you if maybe you think that in Indianapolis this will be different because of the massive front straight.
Yeah, in Indianapolis, I'm not really sure because and I never experienced race in Indianapolis before. Maybe next race in Indianapolis is my first one race there. So I wish I'm very lucky to finish the top 10 next week. Amen to that.
Thank you very much, man. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
I want to thank you to Zhang, to Niranjan Kumar, and anyone in this race for play really good and really nice. And I just want to say I'm sorry again to Niranjan for hitting hitting you a bit on the back. I'm sorry, man. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was our interview with Ferjan Pratama while at Motorsport, and we will catch him next week in Indianapolis.
Okay, good night, guys.
So, Weihan, Indianapolis next. Sadly, we don't seem to have any other driver for interview right now. So, Indianapolis next. Like I said, a race track that really, wasn't very well liked when it was back in the F1 calendar, but it's something very, very different. And I think, like I said, the way these cars play with the slipstream there on the front stretch and the hard braking that they can do there, it can really make for some interesting battles and strategic thinking by the drivers.
You know what I'm looking forward to most? See, the very nature of Indianapolis is that it is a oval racing circuit where pack racing is everything, and where not especially for NASCAR, the cars go 3, 4, even 5 wide. So that's going to be what I'm going to look forward to for 3, 4 wide racing. Even it's going to be full of action, especially through the final corner, the banked right-hander, which is usually known as the NASCAR Turn 1, but it'll be the final right-hander corner there. It's going to be a full throttle attack down there. So that, and also some a high-speed backstretch in the infield section, we will see quite a lot of action that will unfold at Indianapolis. Of course, that circuit has so much of history. It forms one of the 3 triple crown, uh, or rather the triple crown of motor racing.
And
Now,
we can sing, I think, because as you know,
yes, I think we do.
before every Indy 500, they sing "Back Home Again" in Indiana. So maybe we can start learning the lyrics and have a nice pre-race performance for all of you. Let us know.
We must. We must do. Well, I think we just begin the broadcast like 7 minutes before green, and we just insert a performance for all of you guys out there. What could possibly go wrong, huh? Right? Yeah. Anyway, we do still have a little bit of time left before time runs out. Let's just walk through the sponsors who present this series. Of course, we have SIMSA on board with us this season, Simulation MotorSports Affinity, as it's otherwise known as. Now, they believe in providing a state-of-the-art e-racing platform as well as racing simulators for all e-racing fans out there. Now, this affinity was established back in the year 2015 by experienced racers directed at providing a dedicated ground where e-racers from all around the globe can participate and compete with each other. Their approach is focused on broadening the e-racing community on an international scale, along with offering incomparable consultancy services and guidance assured to take e-racing and esports to the next level. Alongside SIMSA is also the Macau-China SimRacing Association, who have come on board to power the other broadcasts here. They are the first sim racing association registered in Macau and Southeast Asia, and done so by a group of passionate and experienced sim racers in the region. Now, they are committed to developing sim racing to another level in Macau, and also develop sim drivers to represent Macau to compete in the national and international sim racing series. Now, both Macau-China SimRacing Association and SIMSA are pushing the forefront of sim racing in their respective regions and their spheres of influence, if I might put it that way. Marco, we still have what looks like 4 minutes to go. Shall we do a party trick of sorts, a lunch or dinner recipe for the viewers out there?
Well, I can promise you we will have a recipe for next week, but for this week we will just have to do with what's coming up on Apex Racing TV. So don't forget that, of course, Monday we are going to have the Monday night MX5 Amateur Cup. It's going to be at 7:15 GMT. And that later that night we are going to have Rikmotech, of course. Don't forget, later today you can follow on our Twitch channel. If I'm not mistaken, you can have the team stream straight from the onboards of the Apex Racing Team guys from the Porsche iRacing Esports Cup, Super Cup, apologies. So Monday MX5s and Rikmotech on Tuesday morning, the Oceanic Strength of Field race for the official IMSA series. Then later in the night, we have VRS GT and the MX5 Pro Series live on the Eracing Esports Network. On Wednesday, we are going to have Sim Racers World, the GT3 Championship. And then on Thursday, we are having, of course, BSRTC. Saturday, 12 GMT, back here for this fantastic series. And then later in the night, we are having at 18 GMT the penultimate round of Season 6 of the Euro V8 Supercar Championship. So a very, very tightly packed week ahead of us, and lots of series to look forward to. And of course, next Saturday, I promise you, we are going to have a recipe, and I will share it with you. And it's going to be a pasta recipe, so we start easy.
Sounds good. Yes, dinner with racers, which will unfold in less than 2 hours' time. Definitely look forward to that.
Of course, I forgot the IMSA SOF race is 10:45 GMT on Tuesday. So that is the correct time for that particular race. Sorry about that.
Marco, I'm going to let you end the broadcast here, because it has been a fantastic night of racing that we've all enjoyed. I believe we've all enjoyed here at Sim Racers.
Thank you very much. Yes. So thank you very much for joining us. Like you said, another fantastic day of racing. And with only 4 rounds left, we are getting into the crunch time of the season. So don't miss the Indianapolis round next week. But for now, from myself, from Scott Newton behind the cameras, Wei Chan with me in the commentary booth, I wish you good morning, good evening, or good night, and happy racing.